Vegetables shouldn't be bland or boring. Today, I have 5 easy and delicious, healthy air fryer side dishes that will have you and your family begging for more. So if you are in a rut or in need of some delicious veggie inspiration, this one's for you. Last week, I brought you along as I talked about breaking down my grocery budget, plus gave tips on how to save on your budget at home. One of those tips was to find quick and easy wins with your air fryer, Instapot, or crock pot to make life easier. After I finished up that upload, I realized that my recipes are often not super easy for you to search up. So this bonus video is just for you. Quick and easy air fryer wins. So today we're getting started with an absolute favorite, which are air fried green beans. Now this recipe uses fresh green beans, which is of course way better than the canned version, but you could do this with a frozen green bean as well. It is very, very simple to make. The first step is to get your beans washed and then dried. The last thing that you want when you're adding oil is to have a bunch of water on the beans. So I went ahead and laid them out on some paper towels and then got another set to press on the top. If you have time to let them set out for quite a while, they can air dry on their own. But do make sure that you're not using beans that are wet at the time, which is part of the reason that I prefer fresh to frozen. After the beans are dry, this comes together really fast. For 1 pound of green beans, you need about 2 tablespoons of olive oil. You can see I obviously did not measure that when I poured it in, but just give or take. You kind of get used to that as time goes on, knowing about what those measurements are. So about 2 tablespoons of oil, a 1/4 cup of grated Parmesan cheese, which you can see me adding here, and a 1/2 teaspoon of garlic. The last thing is salt and pepper to your liking. I actually find that a little bit of salt and pepper now is fine, but I like to taste after they're through their air fryer cycle and just make sure that I get that salt right on. I find that at this point, I'm obviously not going to be tasting it. So that's the reason that I prefer waiting on that till the end. It is a little bit difficult with the oil and the cheese to make sure it's all out, but of course you want all of that flavor added on. So I'm just throwing it all on this air fry rack. As you can see, I am overfilling this rack, so it is going to take me a little longer than it should, simply for the fact that I'm cramming them on. If you are like me and want to put more on there than you should, you will want to stop a few times during the processing as they're cooking and give them a shake. Now, if you have the basket style air fryer, that's of course really easy. I am personally not a fan of the basket style air fryer, so I love the one that's more in line with a toaster oven or a small countertop oven. I'm super picky about my air fryer. You can actually ask my husband on that one. He bought me one once before and I ended up getting rid of it before I ever even got it out of the box, just based on the fact that it was covered in nonstick. Anyway, long story. I'll tell you more about my air fryer desires later, but for now, I just want to show you how absolutely gorgeous these green beans come out of the air fryer. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes at 375, just depending on, of course, how many you pile in. I have to tell you, so good. Adding the Parmesan really takes them up a notch, and I hate to admit how many I actually ate just straight out of my container while I was making the rest of the goodies I'm about to share with you today. They were one of my favorites, of course, not the favorite. I don't know if I had a favorite. This next one actually ranks pretty high too, and as far as continuing the theme of keeping it simple and quick, this is going to hit the spot. We are moving on to carrots. Now, this isn't just a traditional carrot. We are air frying, of course, but I'm also going to add a honey and butter glaze with some garlic. Now, I went ahead and minced fresh garlic, but again, if you don't have garlic at home or it's not the right season, feel free to just grab one of those jars from the store that's already pre-minced and save yourself the time that comes along with that. I find that, of course, those have a longer shelf life. They also, of course, have preservatives, but they are a nice substitute when you don't have the fresh available at home. Now, I am using baby carrots here. The reason is when I went to grab the carrots, my kids had ate all of my organics that I got from Azure. So I ran to my local store to see what was available, and they didn't have any big, nice carrots to slice into finger length strips either. But I really got to looking at the baby carrots and realized they're basically about the same size. So if you're looking to cut out a prep step, This makes it really, really quick and easy. The one thing I will say, and you might be noticing here, is that once those cold carrots get in on that warm butter, it really starts to solidify very fast. So don't be concerned if you see that. Of course, it will melt again once they start getting heated up. So just take them on over, put them in your air fryer. These go in for 375, 10 to 12 minutes. I do stop and flip them in the middle and then just kind of look at them. If they're not as dark as you want them, leave them a little bit longer. There's so much flavor when they start to get almost burnt, and that delicious caramelization that comes from the honey and butter is so good. Now, I know you're thinking right now, you said vegetables. Yes, I'm going to show you a pineapple. Yes, we are actually going to do it in the air fryer, but I wanted to make sure you know exactly how to get a nice sweet one. Go ahead and pull out leaves out of the middle, and if they just fall out into your hand, it's ready and it's sweet. If they don't pull out and it's still super firm, pass on that one. So back to the question you're probably still wondering, which is why is a pineapple in the middle of a vegetable video? Great question. I'm glad you asked. My kids have been telling me how much they love the dehydrated pineapple that my mom has at her house. And I am in the process of putting a new air fryer through its paces called the Nosh oven. Now, I have been in the market for an air fryer for quite some time, even returning one that I didn't like previously. But this one has my attention, and I'm going to tell you why. This Nosh oven has 8 amazing functions, whether you're baking, roasting, steaming, or even air frying. It makes cooking super easy and efficient. But the main thing that I love is going to come up here at the end, which is the cleanup. It's an absolute game changer. This oven also features a quick 20-second steam out, which locks in all those nutrients and flavors. So the food comes out perfectly tender and juicy, and there's no need to preheat. You can get straight to the cooking, saving you time without sacrificing on the quality of your meal. Now, something else that I've really been pouring into lately, as you all know, is baking. And as I'm baking, the idea of having a Steve oven on my kitchen counter was just something I couldn't pass up. Not only can this oven do all of the things that my old air fryer could, but it can also proof my dough and ferment yogurt, which is on my to-do list this very week. Now, if you know anything about making bacon in an air fryer, you know that there is going to be an absolute mess when you get done. But that's the reason I like to make it either in the oven or the air fryer, is because I'm containing the mess. With the Nosh oven, while we enjoy the bacon, the oven is quietly cleaning itself in the background. With the help of the steam, I don't have to worry about needing the effects of a nonstick oven because this thing actually does clean itself. All you need is a quick wipe down and you're ready to go. If you are in the market for a new air fryer or maybe to get a gift for somebody that you love, make sure to use my discount code THHNO for the Hometown Homestead Nosh oven for an amazing savings on this oven. Details will be in the description down below. And thank you again to Sierra for sponsoring today's video. And now it's time to turn our attention back to one of my all-time favorite vegetables, which is like just mind-blowing to say after my history of hating all things green, but Brussels sprouts. If you are not a fan of Brussels sprouts, I implore you, I beg you, I promise you, if you try them like this, you will love them. The first thing you need to do when you get Brussels sprouts is clean them. So I just chop off the very bottom end and then peel off any of the outside leaves that are discolored or look dirty in any way. Then I just cut them in half. Now this recipe calls for 2 tablespoons of olive oil, half teaspoon of garlic powder, and salt and pepper to taste. 12 to 15 minutes at 375. Do stop in the middle, shake or flip, depending on the style of air fryer that you have. And then at the end, once they are crispy, and I mean, you want them to look almost burnt. If you like them super crispy, go a little bit further than this. But the color that these achieved in I think they were done in about 13 minutes was so beautiful that I knew that they were ready to go. So once I pulled these out of the air fryer, again, adjust the seasoning. So check your salt and pepper. And then the secret ingredient, which isn't necessary, but I do think it added a really nice touch, is a sprinkle of Parmesan. If you want to do a bigger batch than what you're seeing here, I recommend doing them in the oven just because you have the space to do it. Now, at that point, you're going to go to about 425 or 450, and it's going to take closer to the 30-minute range. The air fryer obviously does drastically speed up the time, but of course, it depends on how many you actually need to get done at any given moment. That one, I mean, I'm telling you, my husband loves, my kids love. It was actually one of my my oldest child's first food. He chewed on a Brussels sprout and he was sold. After us trying many things, the Brussels sprout was the first thing he took to, and the kids have loved them ever since. The next vegetable that we're frying up today is cauliflower. Now, I have found that when you roast cauliflower just enough, it has a beautiful, nutty, rich texture. And I am using a fresh head. As you saw, I just chopped it up there. You want to cut the core out, and then you can pull the florets apart as needed. Today, I'm adding 2 tablespoons of olive oil, 1 teaspoon of paprika, and a half teaspoon of garlic powder, in addition to salt and pepper. I will say, I find that cauliflower really depends on taste. We often do it with just the olive oil, salt, and pepper and let the natural flavor shine through. So do what works best for your family. I might actually suggest going with just the salt and pepper the first time or two that you do this to make sure that you're getting the beauty of the flavor by itself, because it is absolutely delicious. We will often throw this in with broccoli and kind of combine the two, but it's really just personal preference. I had the whole head of cauliflower today, so I wanted to make sure to go ahead and get it done. Now, my one suggestion on cauliflower is to go a little further than you think it needs to go. You do want to see that browning and the crisping on your edges. I pulled this out and it was really good, but I actually think after letting the kids try it later in the evening that they would have liked it if it was even crunchier. So I know it's hard to think of a vegetable as having a goal of being crunchy, but it really is where the flavor develops. Now, the last thing that we're going to put in our air fryer is something that I usually put in the Instapot. But when I make potatoes in the Instapot, the outside skin is super soft. And if you're looking for that crispy, nice, crunchy skin on a baked potato, the air fryer is the way to go. Now, I know I've showed you several different vegetable side dish recipes that took very few ingredients to get going, but this one takes the cake. We are just getting these potatoes rubbed down with olive oil. I'm going to take a fork, poke the skins. This is something that I like to do on both sides of the potato when you're air frying it. It's probably not necessary, but I did just because it's going to be able to take ventilation on all sides. I thought giving it some extra air holes would be good. Then salt on the skin and pepper. Oiling the skin is what helps get the crispness that you're looking for, kind of more in the style of what you get at a restaurant baked potato. These are Yukon Gold, so these are not the russets that you're going to get if you go out. You will get a thicker, crunchier skin with a russet simply because the skin itself is thicker. For my crew, we like the Yukon Golds because some of my kids don't like the texture of skin. When I do a Yukon Gold in the Instapot, I can kind of hide that skin in there. We can mash it up because it is so soft. But I wanted to see just how far I could crisp up the skin on a Yukon Gold. And I have to say, when you see this, you're going to be amazed. It turned out so good. To get your potatoes crispy out of the air fryer, you just need to set it to 400 degrees and go 40 to 60 minutes, kind of just depending on how big your potato is when you get started. These took a little under 40, but as you can see here, that skin is just crispy, crackly, and absolutely delicious. So that's my favorite air fryer vegetables. If you have any that I forgot, make sure to share them down below, and I'll see you next time.